From the far horizons of the unknown time and space, these are stories of the future, the death of the future, and the future of death. We present for your consideration Future Macabre Radio, Episode 2, The River of Death. Captain Yenson was drinking her breakfast smoothie and working on a Sudoku puzzle on her tablet when a call came in from Admiral Whelner.
Commander Jensen, we've got a mission for your unique talents.
It's pronounced Yenson, sir. It's Norwegian. I hope it's more exciting than my last gig. It's just been deliveries and escort missions.
We're sending you into deep space to investigate the disappearance of a cargo freighter on its way to Aglax 4.
Sometimes there are anomalies we can't comprehend. There will be mysteries in deep space.
Well, that's a fantastic example of the kind of report I don't want.
Of course, Admiral. I was only joking.
People are dead, Jensen. This kind of loss is unacceptable. A distress signal is emanating from the wreckage. You will go to the location and assess, make the appropriate scans, and find something to blame. I can't stress that enough. No wishy-washy, lack of explanations for this one. There are insurance companies who need concrete answers, and bureaucrats breathing down my neck. The journey will take several months. The Aglax sector is pretty far out there.
I know, Admiral. I won't let you down. Thank you for choosing me for this mission.
The confidence she was able to muster was so genuine, she momentarily almost convinced herself. The crew of the Calico prepared for the journey to Aglax. In just 3 months, it was nearing its destination.
Captain, we will come up on the location of the distress signal in a few minutes.
When we're in range, I want it on screen.
Of course, Captain.
Finally made it to our Bermuda Triangle.
Sorry, Captain, what?
Never heard of the Bermuda Triangle?
No, what sector is it in?
It's an old myth from Earth. It was a location in the ocean where numerous ships disappeared or sank.
You mean ocean-going vessels, sir?
Yes, much of the terminology for modern starships comes from nautical vessels. It doesn't surprise me at all that cadets wouldn't know that. The Bermuda Triangle was an area in the Caribbean that was notorious for sea disasters. Some speculated there was an unexplainable phenomena that caused magnetic devices to give false readings. But of course, nearly all the wrecks could be ascribed to dangerous weather or human error.
There it is.
On their view screen was a half of a freighter ship floating in space. It was as if it had been sliced by a gigantic laser. Yenson could see inside the cabin, and the remains of a bed and nightstand still visible. Even photos of loved ones remained on walls. Unfortunately, the half of the ship that disappeared contained the majority of their life support systems. The crew didn't stand a chance when half of their hull suddenly vaporized.
Could it be pirates?
Generally, pirates steal valuable cargo or hold hostages.
Should we send a search party for evidence of theft?
We couldn't even stand if any of us went over there. There's no artificial gravity function. We will have to do all the investigating with drones. Do a sensor sweep and send out a full squadron for documentation.
I suspect it's the same phenomenon that caused the disappearance of the Valkyrie 2 years ago, just a few light weeks from here. Computer, bring up all the data you have on the Valkyrie.
The Valkyrie was a C-class frigate, equipped with laser cannons and photon torpedoes. It disappeared stardate 8786432-8. Its last known coordinates were Algax 4617, right ascension 27461, declination 1948, hour angle. The last time its log was updated and sent back to Central, the captain made a note of a strange sensor reading off the port bow. The ship failed to reach its destination. All crew presumed dead.
And computer, have there been any other accidents in the sector or the ones adjacent?
Yes, the Doyo was lost in 8786431, and the USS Medit 2 years earlier.
Computer, make a map of the last known locations of those ships.
On the readout screen, the computer displayed a 3D map of the system, with the points highlighted in red. The map adjusted to show a path connecting the points and extended out of the system. Remembering playing in the sand as a child, it looked to Yenson like a worm moving through soil.
Add the Valkyrie and this freighter to the map as well. Now, illustrate for me a curved path connecting these points and show it as a cylinder a light day around.
Captain, I got some bad news. 16 of our drones have gone offline.
Not only that, but the freighter! It's gone!
Distracted temporarily by their computer screens, every crewman on the bridge hadn't been watching out the bow window. The freighter wasn't completely gone, but only a few pieces of debris remained, and several of the drones were malfunctioning and floating lifelessly in space.
Keller, recall what remains of our drones. Full reverse. Let's get out of here immediately. Leave a beacon. This area isn't safe.
While heading back to Central as fast as their ship could travel, Yenson tried recording a log, then felt it was too imprudent and deleted it, starting over. She did this several times before submitting the star map she had the computer make, along with this audio file, to Admiral Whelner.
We didn't find conclusive evidence of what happened to the freighter, but I have a theory. What if this path on the map represents a kind of freeway for some more advanced civilization? What if they had starships like ours, but they move so fast that even if we were looking right at one, we wouldn't register it as a ship? Suppose that it is in a phase where it exists partially in our universe, partially not. Enough for it to destroy our ships if it passed through them, but it's not leaving things behind that our sensors can read. Imagine one of our ships leaving the atmosphere of a planet. It would crash into hundreds of pieces of space debris, portions of previous satellites, garbage, etc. And with our shields, our hull wouldn't be damaged. But if an alien civilization sent a very small probe, and one of these probes was hiding among our space garbage, traveling at a high velocity, our ship might vaporize it without even noticing. The drones we sent.
So you're telling me this was done by something more advanced than us that we can't understand? That's the gist of it.
I know it's not what you wanted to hear, but the loss of our drones implies the danger is active. We left a beacon. Inform the entire fleet to stay away from the Aglax sector and the area indicated on our map.
Might as well be the boogeyman, Yenson. But as it's the best we've got, I'll have to submit it. Dismissed.
Far, far away from the Aglax system, an oak tree towered above the others in a forest. A black bird, commonly known as a raven, was calling out. She was known to the other birds in her social circle as Midnight. Her screech indicated she was requesting a quorum. It was a different sound than she would make to alert others of a food source. This was a funeral announcement. She was adding croaking plural to indicate mass funeral or danger of more death coming. Scherzo began laughing, but then saw the reason for the gathering and abruptly stopped.
Always late, always a clown.
The branch Schwarz had chosen bobbed up and down. Bits of dry leaves and moss fell to the ground beneath her.
We have found another mutilated raven on the River of Death.
By now, the birds had all noticed the dead raven on the barren ground. They gathered all called-out variations on "He shall be remembered" and "Remember him" in response. A few more birds joined after hearing the commotion.
I didn't know him personally, but he was a friend of my sister, Onyx. He was a good bird.
He will be remembered.
He was a good bird.
Remember him.
Onyx called a longer croak response to indicate she recognized and mourned her friend.
Though the Grey River can provide us with deer and squirrel carcasses and sometimes even beavers and lynx, it's too dangerous to eat near one, and they must be forbidden.
River of Death.
The River of Death has claimed another soul.
Schwarz listened and silently looked at the carcass and then up at her fellow ravens. She tapped her foot anxiously and readjusted herself, seeming to lose her balance, but then, with a ruffle of feathers, regained it.
Why are you so silent, Schwarz? What do you know that we don't?
Always judging us. Your silence implies you know something. Do you blame the deceased for his fate?
No. Anyone could be caught off guard by the giant metal beasts that swim this river of stone.
What? Giant metal beasts?
What nonsense do you crow, you old cripple?
I have a theory. If you listen to me, I'll share, but if you're just going to condemn me as mad because I'm old, I'll keep my beak shut.
Let's hear what the old kook has to say. I'm up for a laugh.
What if what we call the River of Death is a kind of watering hole trail for some larger, more advanced animal? Bigger than a moose or bear, even. One that moves so fast it's hard for us to recognize it as an animal. It's so heavy that it kills anything that happens to touch it, but it isn't even aware of the animals it kills. Like as we might eat a raspberry, we might not even register that we're eating a grub right along with it.
Such a proposal is so foolish. It doesn't even warrant a condemnation.
Absurd.
Think about it. Don't write me off so quick. Sometimes I have seen the metal beast come to a stop, only to begin swimming again at an intense speed moments later, and they stink. All sorts of rubbish can be shed off them. Sometimes food, sometimes poison. I think they may be responsible for forest fires, too.
Nonsense.
Foolish. Absurd.
Everyone knows forest fires are caused by lightning. You're fear-mongering and spreading baseless conspiracy theories.
It's known that as ravens age, their senses leave them and their ability to make logical choices diminishes.
My senses are still sharp as a blackberry thorn. Regardless of what this river is, or what the metal beasts are, or where they are going, it's dangerous.
We can agree on that, at least. Spread the word far. Tell every bird you meet to stay away from the Stone River, the River of Death.
River of Death, stay away. Stone River, stay away.
The River of Death, stay away.
The ravens all shouted and dispersed, leaving Schwarz alone on the branch. She stared at the raven corpse on the hot asphalt.
I'm sorry, brother. I hope they will listen and not one more raven dies this way.
Many years later, on a warm Venusian evening, the silver-haired Dr. Yenson sat in her favorite chair, a purring cat curled on her lap. Through the window, the lavender sky of twilight painted the lush landscape in soft hues. It was hard to believe that this thriving world once was inhospitable. Thanks to the brilliant engineers who had repositioned and terraformed the planet, Venus was now home to many Earth expats. Her grandson Emile came into the den.
Grandma, you've got a call from someone at Galactic Coalition.
The Coalition? What would they want with me? Put it through.
Classified message from Earth. Confirm identity and that no one but the intended recipient can hear.
I'd better take this in my study. Don't wait up for me. Now, what is all this?
Is this Captain Yenson, the one who piloted a mission to deep space back in 2157?
Yes, that's me. Why?
My name is Cardo. I'm a researcher at the Institute of Xenoarchaeology on Earth. I wanted to reach you and let you know that you were right. And your insight gave us an understanding on the remains of an alien microprobe we found.
What? What insight?
You wrote about the disappearance of the ships in the Aglac sector. You wrote in a footnote that we might encounter a microprobe someday, and being of minuscule size, we could damage it by accident. To find such a thing would be like a holy grail for the xenoarchaeologists. And that happened.
Slow down. A probe from an ancient civilization?
I came across your name while researching, and I wanted to share with you my findings before we published.
How big is it?
In 1976, Americans launched Voyagers, and it contained music, equations, and photographs for another civilization to find. And as crazy as that sounds, we have discovered another society's Voyager. But we didn't know what we had found at first. It was damaged, and its battery power had been depleted for years.
How big is it?
It was the size of a grain of a rice before we smashed it by accident. Fortunately, some of the data was able to be recovered and reassembled. We looked for visual records, artworks that would give us some insights into their worldview, their values, and the way of life on their home planet. But all we could find is this audio. We used artificial intelligence to reconstruct the audio clip that was recorded onto it, and we've heard it now hundreds of times, trying to decipher it, figure out if it's lyrics to a culturally significant song, or instructions for something, or maybe even a distress call. Can I play it for you?
It's rhythmic.
I thought it recalled waves crashing.
This could be the first alien voices ever heard by human ears. Can you speed it up? It's beautiful.
I wonder what it could mean. Does it sound like anything familiar to you?
No, it doesn't. Could you speed it up a little more? It's haunting. Does it make you feel sorrowful? It does to me.
It makes me feel less alone.
Thank you for sharing. I'm sorry I couldn't be more help.
If there were only some illustrations on the probe, then we might know what they look like.
I'm humbled and amazed. Thank you for contacting me.
It was an honor to meet you, sir.
What was that about?
Just someone who remembered an expedition I flew a lifetime ago. I never thought anyone would remember the mundane missions I flew, or read my reports. I got to hear a brief message in a bottle. It was beautiful. I'm going to be referenced in a new xenobiology report. But anyway, what's for dinner?
This has been an original story by Isaac Paris, The River of Death. Thank you for listening. Until next time, thanks for joining us for Future Macabre Radio. I've been your narrator, Rob Milton.
Featured in the cast were Sybill Johnson as Yenson, Nick Pemble as Whelner, Sage Kommisar as Keller, Emma Pace Jonas as Cadet Jojo, Ashley Paris Hanson as Midnight, Dayle Armstrong as Scherzo, Dana Price as Swiftfoot, Nikki Brackett as Schwarz, Lorin Zackular as Emile, and Abhishek Kulkarni as the researcher.